count on. And the first guest of the night, and I was a little bit saddened to hear that you will soon be vacating the ring, Baby D. What in the world has transpired? You seemed like you had so many years ahead of you, and I guess it's a good thing. I mean,
It's, I mean, it's an amazing thing, actually. I mean, I had some health issues in the beginning of the year prior to the whole COVID thing. So I knew I was going to be out for a few months there. And then I was able to come back and I had this, this whole get up, go. But then with COVID and stuff, and then, worrying about that and making sure everybody's, not getting sick and who you're working and have they been tested? Are they sick? Whole thing kind of turned me off to the whole ordeal. And then also the fact that like I honestly met like somebody that I fell in love with and I'm ready to settle down with him. So I've
now
been around wrestling too long and it's a little hard.
so this guy, it was a manager for several of your opponents, or was he your manager slash valet? Um,
No, he was a manager for a lot of my opponents.
Kind of a Bobby Heenan antagonist to your whole deal, right?
Yeah, you could say that for
Uh, by,
sure.
by the way, Gregor, I know that you're not, very, cultured in the world of pro wrestling. So, but
I'm not very cultured, period.
well, I felt it was incumbent upon me to do all I could to get a retiring talent on the show, because we have spoken in the past to some wrestlers, Solo Darling.
Yeah, I don't know much, but I don't mind listening and learning.
Uh-oh. Somebody
Uh-oh,
freeze.
I think he froze up.
I think he froze, man.
Yeah. So Baby D, what wrestling organization are you part of, or were a part of? I'm not sure if you've left or not.
My last match will be against Thunder Rosa at Mission Pro there in Buda, Texas. But I've wrestled pretty much everywhere over Texas. I went to London last year with my tag partner Phoebe. MPX was my home based wrestling promotion, which I had my last match there November the 7th. So.
And what wrestling organization are you part of? I mean, the only one I really know about is the WWE. Are you part of that organization or an alternate
No,
competing organization?
just an independent wrestler. So,
Okay.
independent wrestling, just traveling all over and doing your own matches and stuff like that.
Okay. So who hosts a wrestling match like that with just independent wrestlers? Like who sets up the venues?
Yeah, I mean, you have promoters out there that set up the venues and then they request like other independent workers, So everybody pretty much that's been to WWE or that's in NXT now or AEW now, they have been on the road or doing independent wrestling like I have. So, like for instance, Amber Moon. I trained with Amber Moon, met Amber, got to train with Amber Moon plenty of times. I've had a match with Amber Moon, things like that. She's actually one of the people that I say that trained me. So, like she's one of those that you have, that's been on the independent scene, that's traveled around the world and stuff prior to going to WWE or NXT. Thunder Rosa's another one, she's done here and there's at AEW now with NWA, being the women's champion there, and then recently losing that belt. Also, there's tons of different wrestlers out there that are on the shows now that like I've met over the past few years, things like that. So being an independent contractor for wrestling, you get to go wherever you want to. You set your own fees, you set your own attitude towards what you want. WWE doesn't have nothing to do with that. AEW doesn't have nothing to do with that. NXT doesn't have nothing to do with that. You're just completely independent.
And would you say that you got?
So are there talent scouts? Go ahead.
Well, yeah, they're
Jeremy.
actually. I do believe they are. Am I coming in okay? Sorry about the terrible
Yeah.
unprofessionalism, but we're not aiming to win awards here. It's um, so. Yeah, I believe
So are
there
there
are.
talent scouts to go out to these independent places to check folks out to see if they want to recruit them for a larger I
There
don't know,
are,
organization?
yeah, there are. There's lots of people that like go to other shows, and it's all about word of mouth. Like I, okay, for instance, Amber Moon, Athena, however you want to reply to her, I call her Athena,
Mhm.
but Amber Moon, she met me at a barn. Like I had a show in a barn, and her and a bunch of guys like came after the show and literally walked up to me and was like, "We can care less if you can wrestle," because something happened in the match. So the match got cut short. But she was like, "I love your gimmick, and I want to take you on as a project and see where we can go." And then like so far with her, she got me on at MPX, and she got me on at ACW.
Mhm.
So there were shows that she got me on, and then allowed me to get on to shows. So it's the same way with WWE. Like, people go into WWE and they're like, "Oh, hey, you should check out this independent wrestler, or you should check out this independent wrestler." So that happens. And then, of course, tryouts, things like that.
So were you a big wrestling fan prior to getting into the business, or was this a happenstance kind of thing?
No, actually, so I'm a third generation wrestler. So I
Oh,
grew up in
okay.
the business. My mom wrestled, my grandfather wrestled. So I've been around wrestling my whole entire life. I started wrestling when I was actually 15.
Oh, wow.
I'm 32 now. So started wrestling in high school, and then um, I took a break as soon as I graduated high school so that I could go to college and get an education and make a career of myself, because you never know what wrestling's going to hold. And I didn't want to be one of those people that tried to wrestle my whole life and never had nothing in the long run.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. So if COVID had not come along, I mean, would this be another year for you or?
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you, because like I said, so I I love wrestling, don't get me wrong. I love wrestling, watch wrestling every week. My boyfriend and I, we, sit around and watch wrestling pretty much all the time. Um, I would just say that, like, I think that the last few years I put myself so much into wrestling that I not really lost myself, but I didn't have really much of a life. And I think that now that I'm with somebody that I care for, and I'm not running from anybody else or running or putting myself into wrestling, that like now I want to put myself into a life with him. And I think that's kind of where the whole situation came from, of wanting to kind of just step back. And COVID kind of assisted with that, because when you're off for a few months and you're not able to wrestle, and then when shows like, you start a show and then 2 weeks later they're shut down because somebody had caught COVID or they had a COVID scare, and then they come back, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, what are you really missing, And I found like life outside of wrestling that I tend to like, and that's what I want to do.
Mhm. Well, what about your boyfriend? Is he going to be pursuing any part-time stuff with wrestling, or is he leaving too?
Um,
Oh no, huh?
I do know, but I can't really go into that.
You are here certainly at your own leisure. This isn't an interrogation, so.
You're fine. No,
But
we've talked about it. It just kind of, if something else came, I think with wrestling wise, like honestly, like you beat your body up so much that was kind of my point too. Was like, okay, I've wrestled for the last 3 years. I've wrestled 3 or 4 shows a weekend, every single weekend. So, those matches add up. And then when you come and you wrestle all the way up until you know that you're going to have, like, I had to have surgery. So that took me out for 12 weeks without even the COVID situation. So then, like, 12 weeks came around. Now you have this COVID. Now you got to worry about this. Now your body's not into it either. Your body feels better. You're not hitting the mat every time you turn around. So then whenever you start wrestling again and you start taking these bumps, you start getting hit and you're just like, sorry, excuse me, my body doesn't like that anymore. My body's not corp. It's not communicating correctly. And that was kind of my point too. So I think that if I had the opportunity to do something else, like for Mission Pro, actually, I've been Thunder Rosa and Brian and her husband, everybody that runs Mission Pro, I'm really good friends with. And we've all talked and stuff. So there's going to be other things that I can do, like, announcing, maybe commentary, things like that I don't mind putting my hat into. But as far as wrestling, I think that it's just the mental stability, my body, and then COVID and all that. It's just kind of one of those things where I'm just like, all right, it's kind of time to step away. I don't want to do shows every weekend. I don't want to travel every weekend.
4 shows a weekend. How does that work? I mean,
you'll get those random Thursday shows, then you get those Friday shows, Saturday shows, Sundays. One weekend, it was Phoebe and I. We did a show here in Dallas on a Thursday. We traveled to San Antonio for a Friday show. I turned around. I drove back for a Saturday show here in DFW, then turned around and drove all the way to the Gulf, basically, which is about an 8-hour drive on a Sunday with Phoebe to turn around and drive back so I could be at work on Monday morning. A lot of travel time.
Did he freeze up again? Looks like he did. Yeah, I think he did. So would you discourage a child from getting into the wrestling business, or would you encourage it, or would you just not say a whole bunch about it?
I'm one of those people that believe that you should do whatever your heart sets you to do. So if that's what they want to do, then that's what they should do, because that's how I was brought up. That's how I was raised. My grandfather and my mom did not want me wrestling when I first started it. You shouldn't, your body's going to be beat up. Look at our bodies, but right. They encouraged me just to keep on pursuing my dream. And that's what I did. And, now I think that that's with anybody. So if you're a kid and that's what you want to do, go out there and do it. If you're 33 years old, 40 years old, and you want to give it a shot, do it. Because what do you have to lose? You only have one life.
So you wouldn't discourage your own child from getting into it?
No. If I had, I unfortunately don't have any kids, but if I had a kid, more the merrier. Go for it. Do what you want to do.
So would you encourage Jeremy to maybe take the plunge? He would maybe do a pretty good job, I think.
Yeah, I mean, do it. If you want to do it, man. My grandfather was 38 when he started out.
Wow.
38 years old, putting his body through that when he started wrestling. So, you could do it at all ages. It's just about how much is your willpower? How much willpower do you have to go for it?
Not very.
Yeah. Start hitting the gym, Jeremy.
Yeah.
No, I'll be honest. Even without the years of wear and tear that you guys put yourselves through, my feet are already, in horrible shape, just from some injuries that I had, in my late 20s, early 30s. So, but I mean, it's nothing compared to what you guys go through. And I mean, I well understand it because I worked in a backstage capacity for a wrestling organization many, many years ago. And, I hate that I almost felt guilty being a part of it when quote unquote kayfabe was pretty much no longer a thing. I felt guilty being a part of it and having all this information that maybe I wasn't entitled to begin with, and so I felt kind of guilty about that. And I think that prevented me from really having a good time, even, directing what was going to happen on the show,
Yeah, and that it can turn you off or it can turn you on, and it's kind of one of those things where which way do you go? And I'm real big on kayfabing and things like that because I grew up old school wrestler fan. You don't tell people who's on the business what's going on, and things like that. You don't give them too much of the insight of what's going on. So I see that. I understand that. And I understand where it can be a turnoff. You know, there's times where I'll go to a show just to watch. I don't care. I don't want to know who's winning. I want to go out there and do it. You know, there's been plenty of times that I've told like people, don't tell me nothing about the show. I just want to watch it.
Who are some of your favorites
to watch?
Sure.
Or to wrestle?
Well, first to watch, and then some that you've actually, been in the ring with.
I love old school wrestling, so I really like Bertha Faye. I love Bertha Faye. I don't think that she gets enough recognition for just how great she was at the time that she entered the business. I just love everything about her, from her gimmick to how she was in the ring and how she presented herself, and then being this bigger person. Like, it just, her confidence, things like that. And you don't really truly get that in the ring anymore. You don't really get to see people the way that they are. And I think that Bertha Faye was one of those people that really, like, watching her and learning about her, studying her matches and stuff, really brought my character out more, because it was, it was me turned up. And I felt like Bertha Faye's gimmick was her turned up. Another female wrestler, I loved Trish Stratus growing up, like, loved wrestling Trish Stratus, or not wrestling Trish Stratus, but watching her wrestle. Of course, like Undertaker, things like that. Like, I'm naming off these WWE wrestlers, but those are people I like to watch,
With Undertaker, don't you think that they should have held off on that farewell ceremony until there were actually fans in the building? I felt like that was such a missed opportunity,
Yeah, I think so too. But I think at the same time, it was his way of wanting to go out. I think we all have that one point in time of a certain way that we want to go out. And I think that might have been his way of wanting to go out to an extent,
Well, as far as people you've been in the ring with, who are some of your favorites there? You were a competitor against Lisa Marie Verone, also known as Victoria in WWE, Tara in TNA. In her, like, year-long retirement tour, right? So you got to wrestle her, Taya Valkyrie. What was that like?
That was awesome. So, Phoebe, Fun and Sexy, however you want to refer to us, we were excited. We weren't actually supposed to wrestle them, and something happened, and it ended up being that, like, their opponents weren't going to be there, and they really wanted them in a tag match. They had presented them as a tag match, and we were there, and we're the only legit tag team. And we were, like, fighting for our position. It was one of those things where, like, we politicked our way so much. We were like, look, we're the only tag team. Like, give us that, let us do it. And sure enough, that's what we got to do. It was a very fun experience. I'm telling that match all the way down to the Thunder Rosa being the referee and us just having a blast and being able to incorporate her, being able to incorporate the power of the women's movement, things like that. It was a absolute fun time. I got to wrestle Mia Yim a few years ago, 2017, I believe. Got to wrestle Mia Yim. That was super fun. Got to turn around tag with her as well the same night. I got to be in the ring. I didn't get to wrestle ODB, but I got to tag with ODB at RCW that same year.
I can see ODB in your style a lot, yeah.
ODB is one of those I like to watch too. I love watching her in the ring and things like that growing up. And I mean, I'm not much younger than her, but I think she's in her 40s. I'm 32, few years, but Hey,
I didn't ask. I did not ask.
You're good. Let's see here. Well, let me see. I'm trying to think of it. Well, I got to wrestle with Leva Bates. That was very fun, exciting.
She always cosplays to the ring. What was she dressed as against you?
Spider-Man.
Okay, cool.
It was Phoebe and I versus her, and I don't even remember who her tag partner was that night. But we had a blast. We she had actually was sponsored by Doritos, and they were doing the Spider-Man Dorito bag and stuff. So they had sent her a Spider-Man suit. So Spider-Man, we ate Doritos and the ring. It was fun. Had a blast. Another, I wrestled a lot of male performers. So like some of the guys that I wrestle locally with, Ryan Remington, Tommy Becker, their tag team called Larger Than Life. I loved working with them and just being in the ring with them. I think that was just like, think about wrestling opponents, you have to find that chemistry, and like that was there, and then of course like the person that I'll be retiring against, Thunder Rosa. I've wrestled her twice one-on-one, and I want to say about 3 or 4 times in a tag team.
It seems like she's tangled up in a lot of your moments throughout your career. It seems like she's constantly, there coming back. It's like you guys work really well together. It seems like,
we do, and it helps that we're best friends. Thunder Rosa was there for me in a really, really dark time in my life, and she's like family to me. And whenever I told her, hey man, look, I think I'm done wrestling, kind of want to do something different, and she said, well, let me be your last match. Perfect, let's do it. Mm-hmm. That's exactly how it
went. We've had Solo Darling on here before, and unfortunately it was a bad timing thing because it was the same week that all this stuff came out about all these different wrestlers that, it's really none of my business either way. But I mean, it felt like it felt phony to not to skirt around that issue. It was such a big deal that week, So I mean, like, is the fact that you've been in the ring with Joey Ryan, is that a bad word is that a bad name in your mouth now, or do you?
I don't see it as that. I mean, I think that like, people say it's kind of one of those things. It's hard to say because you don't want to say the wrong thing, but then again, you don't want to say like the right thing either. In my eyes, I think that the whole movement and speaking out was great because there was a lot of wrestlers that needed to be spoke out about.
I mean, it would be naive to say that people don't get up to no good in behind the scenes in wrestling. I mean, things do happen. It would be naive to say otherwise, right? I mean,
and that's true. It would be very naive because I think that you also like one thing that like I'm about is I'm a very upfront person. Like I'm gonna tell you how it is, regardless of how I make you feel. And I'm very nice at the same time, but I can be very cutthroat with my words. And I will tell you that like wrestling Joey Ryan, I had a blast wrestling Joey Ryan. Joey Ryan did not do anything towards me. He did not do anything. I have been on shows with Joey Ryan. I had never seen him act a certain type of way. But again, like, I'm a different type of person too. So I get a lot of respect because of that, because of how I am towards people. So I don't know if that was kind of like the thing or what, so I can't speak upon what he did or what he didn't do or anything like that. I can only speak upon what's happened to me and who those people were. And, those people I've talked to, those people I have told them, hey, look, this is how you make me feel. You might have not realized it, things like that. And I think that the whole speaking out movement happened. It needed to be said, and things have changed since then. And that's what needed to, and it sucks that like so many people had to be exposed for one thing to change. And, but in the long run, it changed for the best. Like, I think that business is better because of it.
Do you think that there is a built-in pressure to conform and be one of the boys? I hear that term a lot, from both fans and talent, just being one of the boys, being able to get up to no good and cut up and, just laugh at the insanity of the business, in general. I mean, people sticking putting lighter fluid in an asthmatic wrestler's inhaler, or when Ric Flair, peed on Johnny Valentine after he fell over in his wheelchair. And I mean, Ric Flair recounts this stuff in his. No, it wasn't. It was somebody else that peed on Johnny Valentine, but Ric Flair was there watching it. And they get up to this stuff and they talk about it in their biographies and they laugh about it. But I don't know, man. Putting lighter fluid in an inhaler, that seems pretty devious to me. I mean, that seems like it's going too far. And I think that, stuff like that does cross the line, right? I mean,
yeah, that does cross the line. Like, I think that there are certain things that have happened that have crossed the line, and those people, have to be exposed. Like, my grandfather and I talk about this all the time. Wrestlers.
For the love of God, would you stop the goddamn hammering? I'm sorry.
Wrestlers then compared to wrestlers now, I think that it's the same way with our generation. Generations then to generations now. Generations now, they're kind of pussies, you know what I mean? Like, we take everything up the ass. Like, you can say, oh, I hate you for this. And, oh, man, that person's never going to be my friend, da-da-da, But back then, like, you could say, ha, 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 that shit happened. That shit was funny. And move on with it because it was a joke. Nowadays, you can't joke around like that. You can't do little things.
Political correctness is what you mean, right?
Yeah. And yeah. I think that's kind of where the difference comes from. So, yeah, it might have been, even though we don't consider that to be okay, because they consider that to be funny back then. So let that be funny back then. But nowadays that wouldn't happen. I have not been in a locker room where something like that has transpired.
Mm. So I'm trying to figure out how to word this.
Just say it, man.
Your main on offense. Does that ever take any like persuading to get people to go along with that? Like the twerking and the stink face and everything. I mean,
you're good. I call it grocery time.
Oh, okay. Eating it like grocery. I just want to know who was vehemently against it and who like volunteered for it. I just want names. Just one name.
Actually, I've never had anybody against it, and
I can believe it.
So nobody's ever been like, "Oh no, you're not going to do that to me." So I can't really say. Everybody who's been down for like it's a funny thing. They know my gimmick. They know that I twerk. They know that I do the stink face, whatever you want to call it. So I mean, everybody was kind of like, "Yeah, that's cool, whatever," So
really. Jeremy's all for it.
I probably would be, but no. Anyway,
you were forward enough to get your old channel terminated.
Ben, not here, man. No, not here, not now. So, I mean, like I said, Thunder Rosa has been there at a lot of crucial times in your career. And believe it or not, I was actually able to get a word with her, on what is about to transpire in your guys' upcoming match, okay? So stand by for video.
Okay.
We'll make sure the volume's good and loud, so we don't need subtitles. Okay.
Oh, her face right there.
I know Baby D in your podcast, and I haven't talked about Baby D. They all know that I love Baby D, that has a lot of respect for Baby D. And the funny thing is, like, I'm going to be her last match because I'm going to whip her ass so bad. She's never going to be able to get back in the ring ever again. I know I love you. You're one of the greatest in Texas, baby. But you won't get the chance to stink face my face like you always do. Because last time you almost gave me a concussion. It's okay. It's my time, baby. It's my time. And I hope you understand that. So I can't wait to drop kick you so many times in the ass and in the chest. It's gonna be great. Baby D, you're the best, but not better than me. I hope you understand that.
Hey, Jeremy,
Yeah,
you have become a simp.
I know. It was worth it though. So D, what do you think about that? Do you have a rebuttal for Mrs. Thunder Rosa?
I think that Thunder Rosa forgot how hard I chopped her last time.
Did it leave a mark?
I think we've been told, I've been told by several different people, Thunder Rosa and I have the hardest chops in Texas. And I think that she forgot that even though she might be faster, she might be smaller, obviously. That doesn't stop me from overpowering her. That doesn't stop me from doing everything in my power to put her down. Now, yes, she is my favorite person. Yes, this is my last match. But it's my last match. And it's not because she's going to hurt me too much where I can't come back. I'm stepping away because I want to, Thunder Rosa, not because you're putting me down. So let's get it straight.
So
I don't think that you beat me like more than once. And it's going to be a tiebreaker. But I think you have your challenge ahead of you, too. Get your MMA fighting going, girl. Because I got a fist, too.
yeah, so D might go out on top here, huh?
Hey, man, a win's a win, but it's a tiebreaker win.
So, do you think that you'll ever come back? I mean, you said that you've been wrestling since you were a teenager, which I'm sure that was challenging to navigate anyway. But, being a very adult-oriented, behind-the-scenes deal. But, I mean, do you ever see yourself coming back when all this madness is over? I mean...
I don't know. I think it's just going to depend on where I'm at in life and how I feel about it. I can't really speak upon it right now. Right now, my mind is set, and my mind's set on moving on and, setting up a life with, moving forward. And you can't move forward if you're always standing right there.
Mm-hmm.
If you're always in standstill. And I think that, I'm 32. I don't have any kids. I'm not married. So, I'm ready to move forward in that type of lifespan. I want to, possibly settle down, have kids, things like that. That's
the nice godly thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first helpful thing you've contributed to tonight, Zach. But thank you for that.
You're welcome. I'm always here.
So December 11th, Pinball's Kingdom. Is that the location? Am I reading
that
it right?
That is correct. Pinball Kingdom.
What is that, like an arcade or?
It is an arcade. It's very fun. The show's outdoor. It's a very nice arena. Those people are so kind there. They have an amazing restaurant inside. They have, beer, liquor, whatever, all the drinks that you can drink. And then on top of that, you have video games, man. You go to a wrestling show and you have video games. What?
Yeah. So it's in Buda, Texas, right?
Yes, which is right on the outside of Austin.
Okay. And for more information, missionprowrestling.net. Final match, Thunder Rosa and Baby D. And yeah, I hope that I hope whatever your next chapter is, I hope you get the most out of it, because you definitely left a strong impression. I mean, there are people that care more about you than like the say when WWE people would go through in some areas like MPX and Mission Pro Wrestling. They would be more for you than say like Lisa Marie Verone or some of these others that would come through. So you really had a base at home.
I really did, and everybody. Eventually, every chapter has to close, and you have to start a new one. And I've started a whole bunch of them over the past few years, and I'm finishing up a few of them and ready to open a new one. Let's see what happens. And I think that, you know, Mission Pro and MPX and them supporting me the way they have over the past few years, I think that even if I decided to come back, if it was one of those things where I was like, you know what, I want to do a match. I got the itch back. Then I would have that option too. And, you know, I think that either one of those promotions are great promotions to especially check out. MPX has their own network, MPX Wrestling Network. That's a great, like, you know, they have tons of matches, tons of shows on there. And then, of course, Mission Pro Wrestling and with their title match network having their shows on there. I think that's, you know, there's a whole bunch of different platforms that you can check out the shows with. And see what the next chapter holds.
Right on. I did remember one other thing that I wanted to get your personal, you know, hot take on, and that's the whole situation with WWE just encroaching further and further on their talent. And I mean, something tells me that would have been a bad environment for you. You know, you probably don't stand for that, and I'm imagining that, like, you know, people like Thunder Rosa and a bunch of others probably wouldn't stand for it either, unless, you know, the dollar signs were like mega. But I mean, do you know anybody that works for WWE right now that is absolutely miserable? Without naming names, I mean, you know,
I wouldn't say miserable, but I would say that they weren't happy with the whole social media thing, social media platform thing going on.
Why would they do that other than to just because they could? You know, it almost seems like something they would do to antagonize talent for some perceived, you know, offense on their end. I don't know. I mean, it's very petty.
Yeah.
It's very petty. I don't understand.
It's petty. I'm to be honest with you, I'm not sure. I had a, you know, I'm not really sure. I do social media, you know, I'm more of a Facebook person. I love Facebook and TikTok. I watch a lot of TikTok, a lot of Facebook. But, I mean, as far as like Twitch and things like that, I don't too much do. So I don't know, you know, the benefits of it or not the benefits of it. But I just, you know, I know a lot of people are upset about it. I know that, you know, there's been a lot of voices come out about it. But I don't, as to the reason why, I have no idea why.
Well, like I've said before on here, I definitely think something's going on mentally with Vince McMahon, you know, without, you know, needless speculation. But I think that you dodged a bullet, not, you know, ever going there probably. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, you know, I've told everybody from the beginning as to when I came back to wrestling, like, I wasn't looking to go to WWE. I wasn't looking to go to NXT. Wasn't looking to go to AEW. I did this because I wanted to have fun, and it was something I could do, and it was fun to me, and that's what I've done. So as far as like being grateful that I didn't make it, it doesn't really bother me because I had fun doing what I wanted to, you know?
Mm-hmm. So. Did you actually get to see any of the Von Erichs growing up, or were they before your time?
No, I actually did. There was a few times that we had dinner over at their house and stuff because my grandfather worked the shows with Sportorium with them. So I got to see a few of them, but not... I was so young that I don't really remember.
Right, yeah. Boy, there's a family that the business just sank its teeth into, you know?
It's true.
But well, Dee, I appreciate you coming on, and I won't keep you too long, you know, for the next chapter of your life. And I appreciate Thunder Rosa for that, her contribution, you know, verbally. And yeah, I really admire what you not girls, but people do, because you know,
it's everybody. It's an everybody thing.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed every moment of it, and you know, we'll see what happens. And make sure you catch Mission Pro. If you can't be there live, watch it on the Title Match Network. You know, be fun.
Yes, right on. And so that's December 11th. That's Friday, December 11th at
yes, December 11th.
Title Match Wrestling Network.
Yes, okay. TitleMatchWrestlingNetwork.com. You'll be able to watch the show live or catch it on replay. They have it on replay too.
Imagine how you're going to feel 6 months from now when your body starts really healing.
That's true. Right now, I still get the cracks. I still got to move around.
All right. Well, thank you, Dee, and best of
Thank
luck.
you.
Yes, thank you. Y'all
No,
have a great night. Be safe. Stay COVID free.
Yeah, best of luck to you.
Awesome
Thanks for
discussion.
coming.
Thank you.
All right, guys. I know you're not wrestling fans, but that was pretty cool.
I mean, I don't care if you have wrestlers on here.
Too much sensuality.
It's too much
Too
what?
much sensuality for Zach.
Too much sensuality.
Sensuality. This was
What
too
is that,
sensual,
like,
he said.
Is that like a love tap fatality or something? What is that?
A love tap fatality.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know
What
what
does
you're
that
talking
mean?
about. What is sensuality? What sensuality? Where baby D's touching herself there? Is that what you're talking about? Or what?
Just